How's it going, everybody? So today we're gonna take a look at another keyboard, and a pretty interesting keyboard at that. So this is the KLIM SHIFT, and interestingly enough, KLIM in Afrikaans means climb. So I'm not sure if it's a South African company. I don't think so. But yeah, that concludes it for our language class today. Now let's move on towards the keyboard here, and I'm gonna do some cha-cha. I'm pretty curious to see actually how it is, because this is a budget $40 keyboard that's not only mechanical, not only RGB, but also wireless at $40. Now on their website, you do have it in a black and a white as a color options. We currently have the black version here, which you guys can see there. And so far, not actually too bad build quality wise, so we'll leave that for later. Now underneath of that, you do have your detachable Type-C cable, non-braided unfortunately. You do have your shortcut reference guide. There we go. You do have your manual, which again you're also going to need because it does seem like there's a bunch going on here. So pretty handy at that. All right, so you do have some stickers and then a type of a pamphlet here as well, which, oh, okay, it seems like it has the team on it, available 24/7, so different languages as well. Pretty interesting. All right, so if you want to, you can read that. But that's not all. You do on the side here get your keycap puller, your switch puller, and then 2 additional brown switches. So as you guys can see, we are using brown switches. But that's not all. Underneath everything else, lastly, you do have your cha-cha shakers, which, so let's just get this out. And not only do you get your black switches, but you do get a set of white ones as well. And again, all of this for $40 on Amazon currently. It is more on their website, but on Amazon, it's currently going for $40, which so far is an absolute steal. Now, it does seem like these keys here on the side, I mean, if you look at the enter, that is not going to fit here, but everything else looks like that will fit, just not the space, the shift. So these ones are just included. So if you want to use it on a different keyboard, you possibly have that option as well. So not only do they give you like a full set for this keyboard, but for other keyboards as well. Good guys, KLIM. And I might actually later on swap these black ones out for these white ones. I think that's gonna look very nice. All right, so I have it connected up and the RGB looks pretty nice. It's not overly bright, but it's pretty standard, I will say. Now, the build quality feels pretty good. It's not also overly heavy. It is the RGB disconnected. There we go, just need to push it all the way in. It does weigh in at 650 grams, which again, is not too heavy, but it doesn't feel cheap at all, so that is a definite plus. Now, something cool about the keyboard apparently is that it does feature a magnetic top frame which can be removed. So let's see if we can actually get that off. Magnetic top. So then you have a white bottom instead. And it just gives it a bit of a different design, as you guys can see there. So I think I'll stick with the top for now. Maybe if you replace it with the white keycaps, that's going to look better. But pretty interesting. I haven't seen that on another keyboard before, and because it's magnetic, it's easy to pop off. So pretty cool. Like I usually say, it's the small things in life. Now, of course, I'm currently using it in a wired mode, but you do also have the 2.4 gigahertz wireless option. So here you do have your wireless receiver, which again just pops in there. Let's see if it's not super in there. It's magnetic, but you might want to be careful. Maybe leave that there for now. But you do have your USB caddy there. Now, you do also have your on and off a switch over here, which we're just going to put on. Let's see if we can disconnect the cable. There we go. And now we can actually connect it to our laptop here. And we can see if it works. There it works. And pretty snappy as well. So don't feel a lot of input latency, if at all. I believe they advertised it at 8 milliseconds. So that's pretty snappy. It's not like the 1 millisecond or so on that we see on Logitech and Corsair with their light speed and all of that. But I don't feel a delay, so that's pretty good. Now again, this is the 2.4 gigahertz wireless. You do have the wired mode with the cable, you have the 2.4 gigahertz wireless, and then also you do have the Bluetooth mode. So all you need to do here is tap the mode button here, and you'll see that it's going to switch colors. So blue for Bluetooth, red is for wired modes, but it will automatically switch to Bluetooth now, and then also wireless, so 2.4 gigahertz. Now, still keeping underneath, you do have your flip out keyboard feature, and the nice thing is that you do actually get 2 levels of adjustment. So you have your smaller one and then also your larger ones, which is always handy. Also, it's not too high, but I would have liked it if it was a bit more sloping it down, but not the biggest problem. That's probably due to the battery. So this does feature a 2000 milliamp hour battery, which KLIM says will last you around 10 hours on full brightness for the RGB, and will charge full in around 4 hours. Now then, as for the keycaps, they do feel pretty decent. I hear you, don't worry about it. They are somewhat double shot, but not completely. So you only have it in the center there. With some of the other ones, with the higher quality keycaps, there's actually 2 complete layers in a side, which isn't bad, but this is definitely one area where they did do some corner cutting, but only a slight, very slight corner cut there. I don't really see that as a problem, but some might. But at $40, you can't really complain too much. But I don't necessarily again like it that the secondary functions are on top of the keycap. It doesn't look very neat, and of course it will also fade after some use, so that's only printed on. Now also, these do not feel a PBT. I believe these are only ABS, so that's also some corner cutting, nothing too big, but I will say that I do appreciate a PBT keycaps instead of ABS. It just feels a bit better. Now again, small things, but you do have that. So let's quickly remove some of these switches here, some of the keycaps, and we can take a look at these switches. All right, so I did some time traveling. It's a bit later, and I actually had some time to test out the Shift, and as you guys can see, it looks entirely different. I replaced the keycaps with the white ones, and it looks so much better. I did also add some of the blacks back in just to give it a bit of a different look, but yeah, I kind of like it. So you guys can also see how it would look with the white keycaps, and all of this, of course, is included in the price. Now, I did also see that with a couple of weeks later here is that the price went up to just below $50, $48. So will that affect my decision if it's actually worth getting? We'll see, but it's still not too expensive. All right, so where was I last? Switches. So for the switches, my model here does come with hot swappable, forgive me if I pronounced this correctly, G-Shin brown switches. Now, I don't believe I've actually ever used these switches before, so no Gatorons or Cherry or Kale or Optimus switches here, entirely new thing. Now, as for these switches, how do they actually feel? And I will say that they're good enough, but not great. You can clearly tell the difference between some of the other switches. So I don't currently have any Cherry Mech switches, keyboards to actually test it out with brown switches, but I do have a couple of Gatorons and also Gatoron Pro switches as well. And you can instantly tell the difference and which switch is actually more premium compared to the other. For example, this is the An Pro 2, which has just a normal brown switches, and this is the Ranked Nova in 60, which has the Gatoron Pro brown switches. The pros are just prelude, so So you can kind of hear the difference there, and you can instantly feel the difference as well with the loose being a lot smoother. Now for these, they do feel more stiff compared to the others, and you kind of need to add more pressure to get over that bump if you do use brown switches. I'm not sure about the linear ones, but again, this only comes out with browns, I believe. Now I personally do like browns, but the bump does need a bit more force to get over, which I know will not be for everybody. Also, then when you actually get past the bump, it feels unsteady. So the best way to kind of describe it, and it's gonna be a weird analogy here, it kind of feels like when struggling with a manual car's clutch, where the car kind of jumps forward. Yeah, you know, if you've used a manual car. So it kind of feels like that jerking feel. However, it's not horrible, it's just different and not as smooth and as nice as the other ones. That's all I'm going to say. But again, price point wise, yeah, you are going to have some corner cutting, and this is where they actually did it. But in the end, it's just going to be up to you. Would you rather have some lower end switches, but have the wireless connectivity and the extra keycaps and all of that, or would you rather have better switches? Now you can also actually go buy different switches because it is hot swappable. So if you want to, let's say, go buy some of the Gateron Pro Browns, because it does support any up to 3-pin switches, but then you are also paying extra for that. I believe the Gateron Pro Browns are going for around $30. So that is more than half of what this entire keyboard costs. So you have to calculate that in as well. You can rather than just take that money that you would have spent and then just buy a $80 keyboard or so, something around there. But again, it's not that bad. I'm kind of making it sound like it's horrible, but it definitely isn't. I think this keyboard is going to be just a perfect fit for somebody who's new to like these smaller keyboards, but still wants like wireless, because that's honestly really cool. And then also possibly somebody who's on an extreme budget. Now, $50-ish could be a lot for some people, but it's definitely more on the budget range for this industry. So you do have this option, and I think it's definitely a great option for that. But now here's just a quick sound test of how the J-Shin switches sound, as well as compared to the normal Gateron Browns and also the Gateron Pro Browns. Now for the sound test, it's also worth mentioning that the keycaps on the Shift is ABS plastic, and on the other ones it's PBT. So that also plays into the sound difference between them. So as sound-wise, for me, I still like the Gateron Pro Browns. They just feel smoother and sound less kind of high-pitched. It's a lot more bassy, which for me sounds a bit better. Now I do also like clicky switches, but yeah, it just sounds better for me personally. Now also, there are so many different of these 60-ish% type of layouts that you can choose between. And it's just going to be up to you for what layout actually fits your needs the best. So for example, with the Shift here, you actually do get an additional 5 keys here on the side. So your delete, page up, page down, and then also you do get dedicated arrow keys, which is extremely nice. I personally just type a lot, and for me, that is definitely a kind of a must-have. Numlock I can still leave behind, but delete and arrow keys I kind of need. And you do have your secondary function keys that you can use, but it just kind of wastes time. So for example, the ranked here, you can see it is a bit shorter. You don't have those 5 keys, and you don't have dedicated arrow keys. Now I will say that this one does have a tap function, where if you quickly tap on the keys, then it's arrow keys, so you do have that. But I believe it's only on this one. I haven't seen it on some of the other keyboards yet. So, but I still like to have dedicated arrow keys, dedicated keys for majority of them. And that's also a big reason why I actually go for full-size keyboards. I'd rather go larger than smaller, but I mean, it just looks so cool. And I know a lot of people just go crazy for these tiny keyboards, so yeah. Now as for the RGB, you can pretty much control everything on the keyboard itself. You can switch between all of the, I believe, 19 different effects, and then also you can, it's just quickly, single color, and then also you can change the colors as well, just like that, and also the brightness. You have a couple of levels, and you can also change the speed of the effects as well. So all of that you can do on the keyboard itself, or you can go inside the software. Now, if you want to have a white backlight, unfortunately, you can't control that on the keyboard itself. You need to go inside the software, but it does have more of a pinkish or reddish tint to it. So it's not a pure white, and that is unfortunate. I do like just to have a pure white backlight. Now, just quickly for the software, you can go download it from a KLIM's website, and it's good enough. It's not crazy, but it has everything that you kind of need. So it allows you to assign different keys to any of these keys, to majority of the keys, I don't believe for everybody. And also, of course, your secondary functions, you can apply double for that. Now, you can create your own macros as well, and then again, choose between the 19 different RGB effects. All right then, so after using the Shift for a bit and getting used to the switches, it honestly wasn't that bad. Of course, it does need a bit more pressure, but I quickly got over that. Now, for my use, I never had any misses for the 2.4 GHz wireless. I didn't mistype or anything like that, so I'm very, very happy about that. But I did also keep the receiver very, very close by, and that's just something that you unfortunately need to do for majority of these wireless keyboards, even if you go higher end. Now, for an average gamer like myself, I didn't notice any like drastic latency in games, and I would honestly just use it again because it's so convenient. If it's a slight delay, I'm okay, but honestly, I didn't notice it. Now then, finally, is the KLIM Shift worth the almost $50 price tag? And honestly, for everything that you get, I can't actually say no. But also, you do need to keep your expectations at the price point as well. You really do just get a lot for the $50. You get that extra keycaps again, which makes it just look so nice. You don't need to go buy it extra, even though buying extra keycaps isn't that expensive, but it just adds up all of that. You also, of course, get the different design where you can just pop off the frame here, and then you also have how it looks like that. So you do have that as an option, and then finally you do, of course, for the price point, have both Bluetooth and also 2.4 GHz wireless. And honestly, all of that is just great for the price point. But unfortunately, of course, the downsides is the switches, and with some of the other keyboards like the ranked tier, you do have, of course, better switches, but also PBT keycaps, which just feels better against the ABS. So yeah, but luckily, again, you can go buy PBT keycaps, but adds up. But yeah, overall, for sub $50, I can't complain too much, as the pros definitely outweighs the cons. So if you guys want to get the KLIM Shift for yourself, I will leave links in the video description. Also, a big shout out to KLIM for sending the keyboard over for review. I did see that they have a bunch of other products as well that you can check out, a lot of other keyboards also. But so far, first product from them, I'm pretty impressed. You get everything that you would really need and extra. So thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and comment like always. If you have any other keyboard you want me to take a look at, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try my best to actually get my hands on it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll check all of you next time. Cheers, guys.